Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video for the Lord of the Rings LCG. Has a certain giant slug got you feeling down? Are you struggling a bit with the fourth quest of the Shadows Reach campaign and looking for some help? If so, you're in the wrong place. Click away. Here at this channel, we don't rely on helpful guides. Hell no. We only have bottom of the barrel advice for you here. In fact, if you do watch this video, I hope you look back at it and think, well, that was a waste of time. And we're well on our way. In all seriousness though, I wanted to make a video guide of sorts for the fourth quest of the Shadows Reach campaign titled We Must Away, and is a response to some conversations that I saw on the Steam forums last week as well as in the past that seem to indicate that new players as well as returning players seem to struggle a little bit with this particular adventure. So much so that the developers Fantasy Flight Interactive have noticed these conversations and have indicated that they will be looking at adjusting the difficulty as well as the first time experience for new players with regards to this quest. So I don't know how valid this video guide will be in the future, but if it helps anyone out between now and then that's good enough for me. So my goal for this guide isn't to provide you with a specific deck list and a playthrough showcasing that deck. No, I want to focus on the quest itself. I want to offer you some tips and strategies that may help you have a fighting chance at defeating this particular tricky quest with whatever deck that you choose to run into it. So the deck that I am going to be using for this video is actually the starter deck. And there's a couple of reasons why I want to use this deck. Firstly, it's what every player has access to regardless of their experience with the game, as well as their card collection. I want to show that you can beat this quest without having to purchase any extra content at all. And secondly, this deck is completely unoptimized for this particular quest. In fact, the only way I think you can be optimized for it is if you're running the Spirit Sphere, because that sphere has a lot of tools like threat reduction and apply progress cards that really help in negating some of the difficulty that We Must Away has. So if you are looking to build your own deck, definitely consider running Spirit Sphere, but for this playthrough we're not going to be. And the reason for that is I wanted to demonstrate that you don't have to be running a completely optimized deck in order to beat We Must Away. That said, some decks will struggle more than others, and I do recommend that you build your own deck to tackle this quest, or just look online for a community deck list that piques your interest and run that instead. But as I said, I want to focus on the quest itself for this guide. I may mention some cards during the playthrough that you might like to consider in your own deck building. And at the end of the video, I think I will also include some community builds and deck lists that you might like to consider running should you prefer to go that strategy. So that said, let's get into this video. Let's get into this playthrough and see how we go.
You fought your...
Okay, now the first thing you have to do when you start a new quest is you have to select what your opening hand will be. Now, there's not a lot of advice I can give you for that because it's largely dependent on what deck you're running. But as a rule of thumb, it's always good to go for low cost cards, specifically allies. Having many low cost allies will allow you to set up a board state really quickly, and this will in turn give you more actions to use, more damage on the board, more willpower, and more ways that you can mitigate damage or control where Sauron puts the damage through the guarding action. So always try to go for low cost allies early on the game. So for this opening hand, I'm going to keep Guard of the Citadel and Galadon Archer. I am hoping to get a little bit more damage because I really want to go damage heavy on this first location. Fortunately, we didn't quite get much damage, but we'll see what we can do with what we have. Now, the first thing I do want to talk about is what makes this quest so difficult, not only for new players or returning players, but also for veteran players as well. And there's sort of two main reasons. There's the first threat event and this enemy. This enemy, the giant slug, is quite nasty because not only does it attack for 3, but it has 15 health, which makes it very hard to kill very quickly. It also has the ability where it deals 1 damage when attacked, kind of like counter keyword. So it's doing a lot of damage across the board. It makes it hard for us to kill it because whenever we attack it, we're taking damage. Now, the second line of text is probably the most relevant for this quest, which is gain 1 when giant slug attacks. This is particularly nasty because it effectively means that each round we're going to be gaining 2 threat. So our threat meter is going to jump up really quick if we can't find a way of dealing with the giant slug or having ways to prevent it from attacking. Luckily the game has given us one way. We have a threat event, a fate event that allows us to exhaust a defender or an enemy. Now the second way that this quest is quite difficult is the first threat event, which says restore every enemy to full health. If no health restored, 2 random orcs enter play. Generally we always want to resolve the first line of text there. We don't want to have 2 random orcs enter play, so we just want to have the trigger to restore every enemy to full. Now this is quite a tricky threat in conjunction with the giant slug, because we want to kill this guy really quickly to save on damage and threat, but if we can't kill him quickly enough, then this threat event could trigger, causing us to lose all of our progress. Now I have seen 2 general strategies that people have. One is that people like to sort of delay the game to have this trigger before they kill the giant slug and then go ham on him afterwards. I'm not the biggest fan of that strategy because I want to kill him well before that event so that we can travel as soon as possible. Basically travel as soon as we trigger this encounter. This threat event. Now Arwen here is kind of useless in this first location unless like Sauron plays hazards. The only thing she's got to do is to fade up so that we can trigger this fade event, and the only other thing I wanted to do is apply 1 damage to this rock adder. This rock adder is a really good enemy to keep alive. Do 1 damage to, so that when this triggers it'll heal that snake and it'll essentially mean like nothing's really happened. So that's all that Arwen's going to do, and then Gimli and Aragorn are going to try and deal with all these threats by damaging everything. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kill this 3/2 Monk Adder just to get that damage off the board, and then I will play Guard of the Citadel. Now the reason why I'm playing Guard of the Citadel is he's guarding, so he's going to take the damage away from our heroes, but he also does 1 reciprocal damage back. Meaning that he's already taken some damage. Now, there is some strategy involved with when you choose to play allies. You don't want to chuck something down like a Galadon Archer if this guy hasn't attacked and this guy hasn't attacked, because you're essentially paying 1 damage for that arrivability. Sorry, 1 resource for that arrivability. 1 resource for 1 damage is not worth it. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to play this guy, do the 1 damage, and then keep him alive enough to do at least another attack. So there is strategy in when you play your allies. Now I wouldn't play this guy right now because the rock adder is going to swing and he's likely going to kill the Guard of the Citadel. So I'm going to try and get the most I can out of him by attacking and doing 1 more damage to the giant slug. Now it kills him in return, but I'm happy to have done that damage to that enemy. Now I am going to fade up with Arwen, more or less to see what Sauron's going to do for his action here. Unfortunately I do have to deal with that enemy, so I'm going to ready up Aragorn for the surge action and then kill the Spies of Shadow. Plays a Dol Guldur Archer, which is fine. I'm going to use Gimli to deal damage to the giant slug. Again, taking 1 damage from that counter ability. I'll play the Galadon Archer now because I don't think that she will die. I can do 2 points of damage, so I can either kill this guy or do more damage to the slug. I think I kind of want to do more damage to the slug. To that, someone gets 1 more action. Gonna play a treachery. Yep, do 1 damage to the slug. And I will end the phase there. Another thing to consider with this quest, it's only 3 locations long, so it's quite a short quest. But these 3 locations can be quite tricky, or at least the first 2. The third one's generally the easiest, but... Okay, so first things first, I'm going to trigger this fate, and then attack with the Galadon Archer, which will exhaust the giant slug so we don't gain the threat from him. It does kill the archer, but I'm okay with that. Like I said, no, I'm not going to do that yet. What am I going to do here? I think I might start getting some... I'll get the Rohirrim Lance out, because I do want that extra damage. Or not. Okay, I think I'm going to attack the slug with Aragorn. Now, Aragorn's getting pretty low. Don't worry too much about that on this quest, because we have this fate event which will restore a hero to full health. So it's fine to let one ally take a lot of damage. Because of that, you can just heal him up to full. So, do more damage to the slug. I'm just going to play this guy. Okay, we are not going to kill this guy ever, so I don't care. Now, I've got 3 rounds left to worry about doing 1 point of damage, so I'm going to start fading up with Arwen. Just to try and get to 7, just in case we need to use it quickly to save Aragorn. And the phase, Sauron passes, excellent. And immediately we can kill the slug, which is good. I think we'll use... I'll heal up first, I guess. Gimli. Galadon Archer is nice to have. We've got this guy we can take care of. So, first things first, let's kill the giant slug, so we no longer have to worry about him. So that's really good. Interesting. Let's play the Guard of the Citadel.
I serve the steward of Gondor.
To force Sauron to focus some damage in over here. And we'll play the Galadon Archer to snipe out the Dol Guldur Archer.
You breathe so loud
Archer v Archer.
you in the dark.
Okay, now let's fade up again with Arwen. I'm taking a gamble that he's not going to play a hazard, so... Okay, which one do we prefer to get rid of here? Now, guarding is really important for something called reciprocal damage. Guard with this one. Whenever you guard with an ally, they deal damage back, which is quite good. So if you have an option between attacking with an ally that's going to die anyway or guarding up, it's often much better to guard up. Do 3 damage there. Sauron's going to pass, which means that we can now take care of this enemy, because this has a revenge keyword where it summons the forest blats. Now, if you wait till Sauron passes around, he cannot attack with him. Allows us to just take care of that enemy straight up. We can ready up Aragorn here. I think that might actually be worth doing, just to kill this guy, because he does have guard. Now, we're not going to travel, even though we can. We're not going to travel until we trigger this event first, because I'd rather trigger it while we have the upper hand than to travel and have it trigger when Sauron's already got a fierce board of enemies out. Okay, what do I want to play? I think I'll play the veteran archer. Veteran axe hand. Just to get some damage on the board. Back with that one, is he? Well, probably looks like we don't want to kill this guy, so we're just gonna allow that to happen. Now, I think we fade up again with Arwen.
You were dead
Let's block with our axe hand, and then Aragorn can take him out.
I serve no man.
Not too worried about that enemy, so we might ready up Aragorn and take out these rock adders because the tower patrol is still damaged. So
I serve no man.
what do we do here? It's not worth triggering this event until we get some more allies on the board. 2 resources still, which is a little bit nerve-wracking. So just gamble and hope that nothing. Okay, Sauron passes. That's good. Again, the next round we're going to trigger, so we're just going to end the round to trigger this. What's going to happen is this enemy is going to gain 1 health, and that's all that's going to happen. We're not going to get any extra enemies. It's effectively negated that threat event. I'm not too worried about taking 1 point of damage there, so I'm just going to play out Ithilien Lookout. We can start getting round shields out too, and maybe even a self-preservation. Get the round shield out onto Gimli. Block is a very good keyword to have. It goes a long way in preserving health of your allies. Take 2 damage. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do to save the poor axe hand here. Because this guy's stealth and he's got range, so he bypasses anything that we try and guard with. Now again, we're not traveling until Sauron passes his turn. There's no point in traveling before then, because what we want to do is we want to have Sauron use up as many of his resources as possible, because when we travel, or whenever the next round starts, he just gains more resources on top of the ones that he already had when the previous round ended. So if we were to travel when he had 4 resources, it just gives him more things to do on the next turn. So it's better to sort of let him play out whatever he has while we have the upper hand now, before we travel to the next location where we won't have the upper hand. Let's get self-preservation on Gimli, and I think we're good to travel. Yep, actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to guard with Aragorn. Now, if you're new, you may not realise that if you guard with a character and ending the phase or travelling will not get rid of that guard. And normally that wouldn't be the best strategy to do, to guard on a hero with such low health, but like I said, we have this event to trigger, which will heal him to full. So we're trying to get the most out of Aragorn before we do that. We'll heal Gimli, and he will heal himself up to full. We're doing pretty good at the moment. So at 38, Ulfthak enters the battlefield. I think what we want to do is see what sneak attack gives us.
We'll not be taking Boris'
Okay,
prize.
not bad. Good to get him early so we can block with him. Should need to. Really, that's a pain. Block here, get the reciprocal damage, which will put him in killing range of Gimli. Okay, and here's another one that we can block with. Yep, that takes care of that. Now Aragorn's on 1 health, so we're definitely going to trigger this fate event. So he's all good now. Now we just want to try and clear the board as much as possible. We're not too worried about Sauron playing another enemy, because if it's particularly nasty we can feint it, but with only 2 resources it shouldn't be anything that's too nasty. Okay, that's fine, because we have Arwen readied up to take that down. Get the Ithilien Lookout out.
My eyes see everything.
Extra points of damage, so I think we can kill this guy here. Now the interesting thing about this location is that our objective here is timed, which means that it doesn't tick down until the end of the round where we tick down 1 point. So we're essentially forced to stay here for 4 rounds because this cannot be engaged, so we can't use our allies to put progress onto this. We are given this fate event which applies 1 progress to it, so it means that we only have to stick around for 3 rounds, I should say. This is also, this location right here and this objective right here is another reason why I say that having spirit for this quest is quite good. Spirit has cards that put progress onto objectives and hazards, things like Will of Steel and Secret Pass. Now those aren't cards that technically engage, so they allow you to put progress onto something like this and completely bypass an objective like this so we can travel as soon as possible. Unfortunately we're not running Spirit, so we're not running those tricks, but if you're interested in deck building for this quest, maybe strongly consider Spirit and cards like Will of Steel and Secret Pass. Now I think we have to do some guarding up right now. We can feint one of these enemies, but just have to block for now, I think. Maybe we'll feint this one.
Look out!
He might go after this Sicilian lookout. Yeah, so enemies generally, not always, they generally always go for a kill shot. So if you have an ally within range of being killed, that's usually their target. It's one thing to keep in mind if you are new. You can sort of predict where the attacks are going to go. Treachery. Now that could be a treachery that cancels an event. I think we will play this. Yep, that's the one I thought it was. Now you can predict sometimes what they might be by like considering how much Sauron spends. I almost never pay attention to it, so half the time I never know. Let's try and deal some damage across the board here. I'd rather take out these guards because they're annoying. They're protecting everything else. Fade up with Arwen again. And end the phase. Now we do have Ulfthak coming in, unfortunately. So how do we deal with Ulfthak? I think we have to allow him to attack, or let's guard with Aragorn. Yep. And we can feint this nasty enemy here so we don't take 3 damage from him. Okay, let's chuck sneak attack out, see if we get anything good from that.
I serve the king!
Oh, perfect. That's a really good one. A very good one. Start. Now the top 3 can, okay, that's a nice one. Now, if Ulfthak ever comes out while you're playing this through this quest, he should be your #1 priority to kill because of his end of round ability. You do not want to have him start summoning Dol Guldur Orc, so he's gonna be my #1 target to kill. We'll clear this, and what we'll do, yeah, no, that's okay. We'll ready up Aragorn, and we'll do the damage onto this guy, which will put him in kill range for Gimli straight on, but it won't matter because this guy has guard. Stop Aragorn. I would like to see Gandalf pop up soon, but doesn't look like he's gonna play ball anytime soon, so I think we will guard with the Assyrian lookout. We'll also guard with Gimli because he has block. We'll pop out. No. What do I want to do here? More damage or Mithrandir's advice. Let's get Rohirrim Lancer out. Because he has range, he's going to be able to deal damage to these guys without taking reciprocal. Arwen take out him. Ooh. That's nasty. I don't want the damage going on to Aragorn, so go there and then we'll have Aragorn.
I serve no man.
The damage now. Ooh. Upkeep deal. Who has the most cards? Okay, he does not have the most cards in play. This is like an opportunity. This is one of those moments where you have to decide, do I stay here and kill things or do I travel? I think I want to travel here. Nothing has pursuit. I don't have to worry about that. Having to deal with these enemies is going to take a long time. We're just going to bump up our threat meter a lot. Now the unfortunate thing is when we travel we are going to spawn the river troll on the next location, but I think I'd rather deal with that than the extra threat from staying around another round. So we're going to travel, get the hell out of here and head on to the final location of the quest. The river troll will spawn in. Yep. And heal something. What do I want to heal? I'll heal Aragorn. Not getting close to Gandalf, but what do I do here? Let's block. Okay. Let's block with Gimli. Ooh. That's a bit of a pain.
Our history shall be preserved.
Okay, so we have a surge action now. I want to try and reduce the amount of damage here, so I'm going to try and take out this guy. He runs himself into Gimli, so... Oh. What's gaining stalwart? That's gaining stalwart.
He cannot stand alone.
Okay. This is an interesting location. Our objective is kind of twofold. Our main objective here is to free Bilbo, and to do that we need to apply 10 progress, but we cannot apply progress or even engage with this until we deal with Smeagol. So Smeagol will flee if we can get him to 2 or less health. In which case, when he does, we can then take care of this objective and then clear the quest. So we have to do at least 8 points of damage to Smeagol. Have that.
The hidden arrow strikes fast.
Okay. So we can start doing 2 damage there.
Let's have some fun.
Heal up Gimli. Still no Aragorn. I mean, no Gandalf. Okay, so I want this guy to attack, so we're going to guard up with the Warden of Annuminus. Yep. which then puts us in... No, it's not. Not quite. Okay, let's guard up with the Troll Shore Scout. Yep, he takes reciprocal damage, and then we can do enough damage with Gimli to make Smeagol flee, which then allows us to apply progress to that objective. Want to see what Sauron does with his 2 remaining resources, so I'm going to play Gaining Strength. Yep, okay. I don't want to take 2 additional damage, so let's take care of it with Aragorn. End of round. Ooh, that's a shame. I don't think I can deal with him. That's the real pain. Looks like we're not gonna quite get the we already don't, but with Gandalf we could have probably gotten our threat meter down low enough to maybe get a perfect score with threat, but I don't think that's on the tables anymore. So let's start applying progress to this objective. Spend a resource to ready Aragorn and do 2 additional progress to that objective. Sauron passes. Now I want to run the chance that we're going to get Gandalf on the next round. Ooh. Okay. Let's do 1 health for Aragorn. There he is. Okay. Because Troll Shore Scout has a revenge keyword, we're going to guard with him. Hopefully Urthak will attack him. Yep. Again, reciprocal damage, and we get to exhaust a random enemy. We'll block again with the Warden of Anonymous and play out Gandalf.
I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
Now, there's no point in losing 3 threat at this. Yeah, let's do it.
Carry out your orders or feel the lash.
Wow. Okay. Do 1 damage to Urthak. Then Urthak can take care of... so Gandalf can take care of Urthak. Okay, so whatever that goes... So we are not going to deal with this enemy at all. Let's take care of the other guys though. What's he got? Around. And take care of him. Arwen. Better an accent. So one of our heroes is probably going to take 3 damage here from this guy. Or that guy, okay. Guard up with the axe hand. Yep. Have Arwen do some progress. Bummer. Could have played advanced warning. And soak up some. Hopefully he attacks the axe hand. Awesome. Kill that enemy. And okay, is bite patrol. Now we don't have to worry about him at all because we just have to attack or complete this objective, and it immediately ends the quest. So we did it. We completed it.
You're elated.
Okay, hopefully this video has given you some strategies to help you tackle this tricky quest. If you're still struggling with it though, don't feel bad. This quest is quite difficult, even for experienced players. I kind of feel like this was the developer's way of saying that, hey, you know that deck that you've been using for the previous quest? That's not going to work for this quest, so head on over to the deck builder and puzzle something out. You know, that said, if you're still not comfortable with building your own deck as a solution to this quest, I do have some deck lists for you that you might like to try out.
I even have pictures of my deck. Check out that deck.
All of them come from the amazing community that we have for this game, and you can find them all on the website rings.db, which I will link in the description below. I will also link each of these decks individually so you can head straight to them. Now the first deck we have to look at is titled Core Set Valor Point Machine, and it's by jacenat. Now this deck is notable because, like the starter deck, it also only uses cards from the core set, but the difference is that you have access to the Spirit Sphere, notably cards like Secret Pass, which I mentioned earlier in the playthrough, as well as some nice threat reduction from 2 copies of Watchful Peace and Gandalf, and having Tom Took as a hero as well as the card like Feint will help you negate some of the damage that you gain, and any damage that does get through can easily be healed with Arwen and Beorn's Hospitality. jacenat also offers some suggestions for cards to swap out should you have access to some of the Valor cards. Now the next deck I have for you is called Controlling Sauron Without Sending a Ring of Power by unkarsthug. This deck is a decent all-rounded deck that is versatile enough to handle many of Sauron's tricks, using Arwen to keep heroes and allies healthy, Gimli to smash Sauron's face, and Eowyn to pick up some of the slack. Because this deck uses Valor cards, however, we have access to cheap threat reduction and willpower from cards like Galadriel's Handmaiden and Careful Planning, as well as some cheap damage from Westfold Outrider. Starbreach is also included, which will greatly improve Gimli's ability to deal damage to multiple threats in a round, or to double Arwen's willpower stats. If you're looking for a deck, however, that requires some more experience, or something that's a bit more trickier to play, or if you just generally enjoy a slower, more control-y style of playstyle, give Smart and Secret by Kjeld a go. He has made a double spirit deck that uses cards like Tom Bombadil, Forest Snare, Fair and Perilous, Study the Scrolls, Chthoniel A. Elbereth to slowly control and remove enemies from the board. Cards like Mithrandir's Advice and Erebor Record Keeper make sure that there's always something to play or a way to deal with a threat. Community member Ransomman has also built a similar deck to Kjeld's, and this is one that he designed specifically for Quest 4, and he named it We Must Away. Quite an up name. Like the previous deck, this also is a double Spirit Sphere deck that uses many event cards and relies on a slower approach to the quest. Using cards like Tom Took and A Friend in Need can help deny damage to your board, while you set up Eowyn with Sting and Starbreach, or even Unexpected Courage to take care of some nasty orcs. Also included is 2 copies of Secret Pass to deal with those objectives that can't be engaged, as well as well prepared to ensure that Sauron can't get the upper hand with his own event cards. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this video. Hopefully I've given you enough information to help you conquer this Mount Doom of a quest on your own. Please let me know if this did help you, or if there's something that you're still having a bit of difficulty with, as I may make some more guide or strategy videos in the future for new players. But for now, all the best, have fun and slay some damn orcs. I'll catch you in the next one.